We're just friends.
Nobody's just friends with a belly dancer.
Everything is ready, my darling. Do not be afraid. Soon we'll be together again.
Hello and welcome to Hello, This is the Doom Show. I am Richard, and I am joined once again by Nafa. Say hello to the Nafa.
Hello, I'm the surrogate Brad, while he's busy building penitentiaries in Helsinki.
Yes,
Yeah.
we will get Brad back, but until we do, we're going to talk about Rob Zombie's Shatner movie. No, wait, no Rob Zombie this time.
What?
We're taking a little Rob Zombie break.
I think we've done them all.
We've done all the ones we want.
Oh, that we want to
talk
do.
about. Yeah, well, we're still saving.
The cartoon.
No.
Okay, thank you.
What is the one? What's the recent one?
Oh, the Lords of Salem.
Yeah, we're saving Lords of Salem. That's that's a Brad special show too. So we can't. We're not gonna miss out on that.
You know, we should do his videos, his music videos.
Man, I'm not that desperate.
Yeah, I know. But some of them are better than the cartoon. They're all better than the cartoon.
Poor Robert.
Sorry.
No problem. We are here to talk about a very bizarre and wonderful movie called Impulse, starring William Shatner. Oh boy. Did I say 1974?
You just did.
Okay. Released on January 31st, 1974.
Happy New Year?
Oh. So filmed roundabouts 73 in beautiful Tampa, Florida.
Right in our backyard.
This movie is all over Tampa. It's ridiculous. So that plus the Shatner brought us to this movie.
I missed Shatner being here by a mere, I guess 8 years or so. Never mind.
I missed him, just by 20 years or so.
Yeah.
25.
Even being 8 years... Yay! Even being unfamiliar with Tampa for that 8-year period, it was still kind of easy to track down most of the places, which was much better than Cop and a Half or The Punisher second film. Yeah.
I wish the Dolph Lundgren Punisher had been filmed here in Tampa.
Was it filmed in Canada?
Fucked if I know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I do like that movie, though.
Third one was still the best.
We'll talk about cast and crew later. All you need to know is that this director, William Greff, or Greffy, or whatever, did one of my ultimate favorites, Mako, The Jaws of Death, in 1976. No, I watched that movie during my 1976 movie-thon, and discovered, much to my chagrin, that I had seen it before on cable or something when I was a kid. Mako. We will never, ever do an episode on that fucking thing.
How about a fishy-thon?
Oof. As long as we leave that stinky shark out. Whoa, stinky shark! Can't you get that at sushi bars now?
That's that Icelandic dish.
Oh,
you know.
right. Sushi stinky in Helsinki. Reykjavik.
What is that? Oh, God. I can't think of the name of it.
It's called...
Couture.
They call it delicious. So,
If I say an Icelandic word right in the middle of the thing, it means I've remembered what it's called.
Iceland. This movie, I'm just going to start talking about the plot, and we'll discuss all of its tamponness, its tamponiness. After 2 trailers, I decided to spring for the VHS because this movie has the most beautiful artwork ever.
That was such a great idea.
I burned it to DVD, like you do, and it had trailers for Watchers, based on the Dinar Kuntz novel, and Deep Star 6, based on the Leviathan novel, or I don't know what it was based on.
It was based on Alien in the bathtub.
Very misleading. Very misleading. If you had rented Impulse, why you would have rented Impulse in the first place? It seems impulsive. And then if you watch the trailers for Watchers and Deep Star 6, you'd be like, well, I don't want to watch this shit now. The movie gets started with black and white. It's apparently some kind of flashback to... What's the radio announcing? That the war with Japan is over? Or something?
Was it over or just starting?
I'm not sure. Yeah. But the soldier, he's a soldier because he's got tattoos and a flat-top haircut, played by William Kerwin. We'll get into his acting craziness later. He's swinging around a frickin' katana. He's swinging his Bushido blade around the living room, and
all drunk and returning GIs did that. Don't you know? That's why they're the greatest generation.
Oh, the greatest generation. So, of course, he starts making out with this woman. Her kid comes in. What a drag. The kid comes in, and he's, mommy, blah, whatever. The guy gets pissed off and says, hey kid, I'll show you how it's done, and sort of is kind of raping his mom.
Not with the sword.
Not with the sword, unfortunately. But he starts calling her a tramp and smacking her. So this little boy named Matt goes, grabs the sword, and cuts this guy. They struggle, and then he totally stabs the shit out of this soldier character, killing him. And when he gets stabbed, the soldier calls him a crazy kid. You crazy kid. So flash forward to present day Tampa.
Belly dancing.
To a belly dancing scene and William Shatner's knowing smile. Like, he's all grown up now, kids.
Can I just say he was the best combination of Jack Lord and Elvis Presley circa 73 that there ever was.
Man, of all the films that are Shatnerific, I think this might be one of the most Shatnerific movies ever. I mean, it
definitely...
There's a lot going on.
Well, you know why? It's because he's not playing a character. He's playing a guy. A contemporary guy. He's not a cowboy. He's not a sheriff ranchering spiders. He's not... a Star Trek captain.
Yeah, a starship captain,
yeah.
Right?
He's just a guy. And I'm sure those were all his own clothes.
He's just a death-obsessed, grown-up man-baby psycho boy. But, yeah, we don't know that yet. We just know that, here he is enjoying the dance of a belly dancer in this nightclub. It's just fabulous. There's a lot of still shots of him making the Shatner face, like that knowing face, with the credits kind of just splashed over the top. It's really weird. It's really oh my god, the title sequence. They don't just say Impulse, like with some static text. No. Impulse flies at the screen, stops, and then splits in half with a cracking sound. And there's knives involved somehow.
As the quotation marks.
Oh my god. That's what they're doing. They're stabbing the quotes. Shatner hooks up with the belly dancer after the show.
Oh, mind you, one of the 3 pieces of trivia on IMDb about this film is that the place this was filmed it's set off of Highway 60 on the way to Brandon, which I assume is where all the strip clubs are now on Adamo Drive. Right? Just east of downtown Tampa. Just south of Ybor City, if you're familiar. it also said that the stage would descend from the roof, which is just a kind of cool thing to think of. They don't have places like that anymore. Places don't have things descending from anywhere. So that was just a sign.
Now it's a champagne room.
Yeah.
Where they blast you with those cream jets. I don't
that Brian Eno album, Here Cream the Warm Jets, what a great album.
Brian Emo. So he hooks up with his belly dancer. They make out in the car. What he doesn't know is that his sugar mama, Helen, is watching. Helen kind of resembles his mother. That could go well.
Oh, yeah.
She busts him, and she says the next day, I buy you your clothes, I buy you your car, I even bought you your shaving cream. And his excuse is she's just a friend. And Helen says, nobody's just friends with a belly dancer. And I did air quotes for the just friends part.
They were daggers.
Yeah, they're... Of course, they get into an argument. She starts calling the girl a tramp, but she's yelling, "Trampa! She's a trampa! Trampa!" Which may have been a commercial for Tampa at one point.
If you're not from Tampa, one of the loving nicknames for Tampa from the Tampanians, not tampons, is Trampa.
Yep.
So,
because we're Trampa people.
So she was just repeating, "She's a trampa, 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 trampa." Also, at this point, we should explain that every time Shatner has a flashback to being a kid, or when he was a kid, he did this thing where he put his pinky up to his mouth like Dr. Evil from the Austin Powers films. He stops and does that.
It's really, really bad.
And then he regresses from being this playboy into this
grown-up man baby.
Yes, scarred man-child.
She scratches his face when they start to struggle and pushes him over the edge, and he chokes her to death. Dumps her car with her body in it in the ocean, and we have a nice underwater scene where she's kind of floating in the car. Yeah, the reason there's so many underwater scenes is because this stupid asshole director made Mako Jaws of Death. Sorry. He goes back to her mansion, house, whatever the fuck, is packing up his stuff, and something really important happens. And one thing you need to understand about William Shatner is that he is an actor. Okay? I call him morbidly sincere because I really believe that he believes that this is it. This is the big one. Every role is the big one with Shatner. So he starts almost vomiting. He starts...
After they did a close-up on this painting of a kitten. A puffy kitten.
Yeah, this is painting of a cat, totally innocent. Did they even, show flashes of what he did?
No, there was no setup. It was, I would want to think that it was totally ad-libbed.
And he's just going,
like the cat gave him hairballs.
Like he's coughing up a hairball. I thought it was going to inspire Sparkles or Crisco to do something. It's just brilliant.
It was a golden moment of soft, furry peltiness.
Ooh.
That's the only one.
Heavy pelting.
Ooh.
So he skips town, and we flash to characters in this movie. Tina and Anne. Tina is a young girl, blonde. I call her the bad seed. And Anne is her mother. Oh, they are played by Kim Nicholas and Jennifer Bishop, respectively. There's a breakfast scene. A lot of film historians have referred to this as the breakfast scene, where blah, 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 blah. All we know is that Tina's father's dead. She's not taking it very well. Anne is trying to move on with her life.
And her eggs are cold.
And, of course, Tina is just pissed because her eggs are cold.
No, I was talking about Anne.
her I almost said Van's deference again. I said Van's deference earlier. Don't worry about it. Okay. I want to say opiates, but my opiums. What do women have? What are their parts called?
Hairdressing.
Women have
ovaries. Or something.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I said opiates. What?
A woman's opiates.
Tina is really weird. She goes to get some folding money, quote unquote, from her mom.
Only $2.
From her purse. And I thought she said $10. So when Tina went up there and pulled out $3, I got really confused. But the thing is, Tina's only supposed to take 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that little bitch takes 3.
YOLO.
Do you know how much fucking money like $1 was in 1974? It was like an American dollar. At the time. So she steals the dollars, heads out for school, which we never see. She never goes to school in this entire movie. I'm just making that clear. She's picked up by Matt, played by William Shatner, Mr. Matt Stone. He almost runs her over, and she jumps in the car to get a ride. And you think they know each other. It's so weird that she just gets into a car with this man, and you start thinking, oh, time has passed. She knows this guy. No. He's a total stranger, and she's just giving him a ride. No, wait a minute. He's giving her a ride, excuse me. Woo.
Wow.
He runs over a puppy.
That was not in the road. It was off on the grass.
It's pretty insane. He runs over this dog. They show the puppy lying in the grass. It's just a dog sleeping with some fake blood on its mouth, I hope. And then he speeds off, and she's like, go back, go back. He tells her it's okay. They lick their wounds. He's fine.
Well, my favorite part, that's one of my favorite lines in the whole thing, is she's saying, go back. The dog might be dead. Well, wait.
Go back and bury it in the cemetery.
What is the... Yeah, why? If the dog is dead, then that's... No, yeah, that confounded me.
It was a little bizarre. And obviously, Matt Stone is totally traumatized by this puppy. And we find out why later. Spoiler alert, it's because he relates to it. It's fucking weird. So, he drops Tina off, and I thought he was taking her to school. No school for Tina. He's dropping her off at the cemetery so she can go to her father's grave. And this is where I lost it, because their name is Moy, M-O-Y. That's the family name. This gravestone just says Moy. What did you do?
Moy, 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 moy.
Oh my god. It happens a lot in the movie, so just be prepared for that when you're watching this with Nafa later, you listeners at home.
Yeah. That graveyard is one of the largest ones in Tampa. I feel like I'm the Tampa historian here today.
This is so awesome.
I am the Gary, what's his name, of Shatner movies in Tampa. It's Myrtle Hill Cemetery over in a dangerous part of town, we should say now. Well, there's always some sort of police activity in that graveyard at night because of vandalism. They've found bodies that weren't supposed to be there in that graveyard, and kids are always running around. Anyway, out of this huge cemetery with thousands of graves, the one they pick out is Moy. And I looked it up, and there was a Moy who died and is buried in that cemetery in 1972 because the grave looked really shiny and new, and it was like, okay, that would make sense. But you think about it. You got this actor who just did a space show that was fairly popular but got canceled, and his co-star kind of started to outshine him. Well, who's his co-star? Nimoy. I wonder if that was a dick move or a...
Oh my god.
Because he's not in any of the scenes with the grave.
Right.
So they may have filmed it after. And that's the closest we can get to getting Leonard Nimoy's name in this. You know, I just... You wonder.
Moy. And now we meet the other character. Well, there's several characters in this movie, but this is one of them. Her name is Julia.
Julia Bananas.
Julia Pickles. Julia is played by Ruth Roman, or Roman, whichever you prefer. She is a wealthy, quote-unquote, matchmaker, busybody, she has nothing going on.
Rah, rah, Roman.
Ooh, I didn't know that she was that Roman.
Yeah.
She is determined to hook up Anne, Tina's mother, with someone, a man of some form. Anne works in a little shop that is one of the most confusing shops ever in the world, because you see beauty products, you see her dressing a mannequin, which she nearly falls to her death. She climbs up on a thing, she's changing the clothes on the mannequin and falls. Who's there to catch her? William Shatner. He appears out of nowhere as though he was beamed in, you know.
Oh, I should have queued up a beam sound.
Oh, that's all right. I can do that. I can do that in post. He saves her life, and then he buys cigarettes from her, which I couldn't figure out why the fuck this place also sells cigarettes. Sure. Cigarettes are very important to Shatner in this movie. They're little, like, cigarellos or something like that. Very sexy.
It's funny. They filmed in Tampa and he couldn't get a decent cigar.
Whatever.
Or cigarello.
Julia meets Matt by chance, or seemingly by chance. I'm not sure how this worked out. He's buying business cards because he's a con man. He's a total scumbag. He's buying business cards to fool people into giving him their money for some bullshit investments. The guy running this printing shop is named Clarence, played by James Dobson. He is a very special character, but he's... Oh, God, I don't even know what to say. He's one of those nothing kind of characters. He gets a little...
I don't know if he was a homosexual character or if he was just an effeminate Southern man.
Yeah, Southern gentleman, because he did have that drawl that would...
They do that thing.
They did the drawl with, like, one sentence, he said. Julia is introducing Matt to Anne, and Clarence is there talking about, interior design or something. So they're waiting for Matt to come over at this date, and Julia gets an obscene phone call that is total gibberish.
Out of the blue, obscene phone call.
Out of the blue. You think it has something to do with the rest of the movie? Nah, you're fucking wrong. Has nothing to do with anything. She lets Clarence hear some of it. He goes, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. She lets Anne listen to some of it, and Anne's like, oh my goodness gracious. And seriously, all you can make out with the obscene phone call is like, oh, I want a frappatamadish. I want a bip-bop in your flango, you know?
Hello?
Sweetheart,
What? Well,
Can you my hands over your things you must surprise?
good Lord, it's my first obscene phone call. Yes, well, could you wait a minute?
Where are you going?
No, I just want to get a cigarette.
Rub my thigh.
Yes.
Just at the same time, things of things we could do. Incredible and I can really suck it What are you doing tonight?
Yes, but do call anytime.
My stomach up and down.
Can you believe it? Yes.
Maybe you should have invited him to dinner.
I think so.
Doesn't make any sense.
I tried to connect it earlier since Matt wasn't there to him.
And it wasn't
But he was
his
at the door.
voice, so-
Well, and he was at the door right then.
Right, so it couldn't have been him.
No cell phones at the time.
Unless he had a car phone. Did they have car phones in 74?
The car that would have had a car phone was underwater.
That's right, he drowned that bitch. There's an awkward dinner scene. Clarence is just over the top, ridiculous character. It's very bizarre. Not very comfortable, but long story short, Matt and Anne hit it off, and she goes home at midnight, and Tina, the daughter, is waiting up for her. Where were you? Like a jealous boyfriend or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anne and Matt go on a date the next day, and the most important scene ever filmed happens.
Oh,
Where are they?
Busch Gardens.
The Busch Gardens.
They were in the It's the southwest quadrant of Busch Gardens, the old Busch Gardens, the original where it was Birds, Gardens, and the brewery, which I think most of those are gone now in that corner.
Yeah, we change a lot here. So, they're going to get on an escalator. They're eating hot dogs, walking through the park, go to get on this escalator.
Now, the escalator was the escalator to the brewery, and it was something like 7 stories high, or 5 stories high.
Yeah, if you're afraid of heights, you wouldn't have gotten on this thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
I wish it were still there.
Right at the base of it, this woman with a big frickin' honking thing of balloons accidentally bumps into William Shatner, or, excuse me, Matt Stone. He goes totally ballistic over the top and is like that whisper shouting at her, and you think he's going to pop her balloons or something, and he's like, you fat, ugh, and he can't even like finish his sentence. He's so angry. He's like, they should grind you up into dog food. And then just turns off the rage and continues, catches up with Anne on the thing, and she's like, what was that all about? It's nothing. You know what they put in these hot dogs? They put snouts and hooves and and he goes through this hot dog spiel, and then the manic energy does not stop there. This is the same scene. This is still the same scene.
An uncut scene right there.
Where are you going? Hey, watch it! What do you think you do? Own this place? Fat. People like you ought to be ground up and made into dog food. Hey! You know what's in these things?
What's that all about?
Oh, no. There's pig's feet, pig snouts, there's
stop.
sawdust, there's blood. Look,
Will
I
you
see
stop?
the just goes to show you can't judge a hot dog by its skin.
No, you certainly can't.
Here, hold my hot dog.
Here, you hold
No,
mine.
well, you hold my. I'll
No,
hold you. No,
here.
if I hold you, no, let me.
Both of them.
How come you never remarried?
It just, I hope all these standout things, the vomiting scene, or almost vomiting scene, the hot dog, the balloons with the... I hope there was no script written. I just hope they were just going with it.
After this weird date that they go on, I guess it's the next day, could be the same day. Time does not mean anything to this fucking movie. Anne and Julia are walking on the beach, and they're talking about Matt, blah, 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 and for whatever reason, like... Hello, Sparkles. For whatever reason, my favorite scene happens. It cuts to Anne walking alone on the beach. And she's thinking about Bubbles. No, she's thinking about Matt. And you hear stuff that Matt said, and you hear stuff that Julia said to her, and you hear stuff that Tina, all in this like reverb and like washed out kind of like, oh. It could almost be a commercial for... I don't know, fucking just generic, I don't know, Summer's Eve or something.
Yeah.
It's just such a great scene. Like, it makes my heart ache for movies like this. Like, people just don't do this stupid crap anymore in movies.
The swelling strings and the music and...
Oh, God, it was so great. They're walking by the dead waters of the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, it wasn't even the Gulf of Mexico, it was the Bay.
Oh.
And I can't tell you if it was Tampa Bay. I believe it was Tampa Bay off Courtney Campbell, but there's a chance it could have been Old Hillsborough Bay off of Bayshore.
So it's just gray, awful looking water. That's what we get.
Now that I think about it, it may have been what is now Harbor Island, that was Garrison Island or whatever, that was basically a trash heap.
Ugh, that's not nice.
Yeah.
Nobody could replace Dad. Right, Mom?
Right. Look, honey, you finally met someone.
Have I?
We're doing all right.
I've got my own life to lead.
We're doing all right.
My own life. My own life. My own life.
What was she doing on the beach? She was deciding whether or not to have sex with Matt Stone. Mm-hmm. And the answer was, why, yes, she will. So she goes to his hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, whatever. Say what? And she goes to she has sex with him. Of course, for some reason, Tina, her daughter, has biked there and is watching them have sex through the window. Holy crap. I love it. After the sexing, we meet the great Karate Pete.
Oh, yes.
Wait. Oh, I skipped a scene. Skipped something important. Tina goes back home after witnessing her mom sexing. She yells at Julia, who's supposed to be her babysitter that night.
She was just coming by.
Randomly there.
Because nobody locks any doors.
Fuck no. Tina yells at Julia like, blah, 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 she's just like you.
Check her in the hotels.
Yeah, that's my favorite line. Where's your mother? Check in the hotels. So good.
Not just the hotel. Hotels.
That's when Shatner shows up in his pimp hat.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing a white suit with like brown like trim and everything on the lapels, and this hat that is bigger than his entire head.
It was a large-belled, tiny-brimmed hat. I don't know how it works. That physically should not exist.
They didn't want to mess up his toupee, I guess. Although I don't know, he had a really nice rug in this. He still had hair in the '74? I don't know.
There's some question. I don't know what the official story is, but I think in the '60s he was wearing.
Okay.
Accordingly,
because
I'm game to believe it's all real hair.
When just not
his head, not on his head.
Because when I told Brad we were doing this, Brad said, "Okay, you need to look at his hair. You need to watch his hair."
Well, like I said, he had very much, in some parts, a Jack Lord thing.
Yeah.
And in some parts, an early 70s Elvis, when Elvis was brushing it straight down, kind of bowlish.
Oh, boy.
So it was a combination between those two, and the humidity probably didn't do the toupee good.
The result is just sexy.
It was just spectacular nonchalance.
Ooh, I like that. I practiced nonchalance. So now we meet Karate Pete. And I did not mean to rhyme there at all. Okay, so Karate Pete is played by Harold Sakata. He's this huge hulking man who apparently Matt Stone knew when he was in an institution for being a crazy kid who murdered his mom's boyfriend or whatever. Or father, not sure.
Hakarl.
That's
the Icelandic fish, the shark dish.
Oh, nicely done. There you go.
Sorry about that.
Karate Pete knows that there's some kind of score. Obviously, they're both con men of varying degrees of success, and he wants in on the action, so the most vaguely homoerotic things break out here. Like,
there's nothing vague about it.
There's a shot where Harold Sakata's sitting, smoking his pipe, in this hotel room, this little tiny, crappy Florida hotel room, in order to discuss these matters, the institution and all this shit. William Shatner just gets on his knees and is leaning his elbows on Mr. Sakata's knees, on Karate Pete's knees, and it's just like this lurid shot. You wait for him to unzip his pants or something. It looks weird.
He went from odd job to hand job.
Oh God, to gram job. Ooh. This is where Shatner mentions how he didn't ever want to be released from the institution. He begged them not to let him out. He compares himself to a little lost puppy.
Meow.
Just like the one that he ran over earlier in the film. It's transcendent, really. It's this movie's Rosebud. After Karate Pete leaves, Matt holds his mother's photo and clutches it to him and is like, "Mom, what did he do?"
I don't recall exactly what he
said.
Like,
Mom, but it's great. Karate Pete, before he left, told Matt they're going to go over their plan to rob this Julia chick later. He tells him to meet him at the car wash, the El Dorado car wash, to be precise. And this is where the most elaborate murder of a human being has ever taken place.
Everything just fell into order.
Shatner I keep saying Shatner. Matt Stone, because I'm so convinced of the acting in this movie, it is definitely Matt Stone. This guy must have been real. He has a noose, and he's strangling Karate Pete from this car wash that's still there, right?
Yes, it's Dale Mabry, just north of Spruce, right next to Mons Venus. Across the street from one of the best Thai restaurants in Tampa.
Our world-famous Mons Venus strip club.
Everybody should know where that is. Yeah, it's the car wash that's there.
It used to be called Mom's Venus, but that was conflicting. So a struggle ensues. Karate Pete busts up his window on his car. He manages to... I mean, first he gets out of the noose. Then he busts up the window in the car, and William Shatner... Damn it. Matt Stone runs him over with his frickin' car. Who's in the back seat? Little Tina. She's witnessing all of this stuff. So first, she sees him having sex with her mom. Now she witnesses him killing his gay lover, or whatever. Then...
Did you mention that Karate Pete pulled up in a motorhome with a giant paper sign on the side of the motorhome that said Karate Pete in Asian script?
Well, I theorized...
I just need to interject that.
Oh, no. There's a good point. I theorized that was the trailer that William Shatner was living in when this movie was being made, because he was down on hard times. Mm-hmm. But you were like, no, he couldn't have afforded that.
Well, around this time, he was living in a trailer in California. So it could well be, if they wouldn't have flown him out. If they bust him out for this movie, they would have put him up in a motorhome. And that might have been, you're right. You know what? I revise my statement and I say plausible.
I think we should get some Karate Pete t-shirts made up.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we just get t-shirts and put paper signs on them and say Karate Pete. I don't know why. Was he... Because he keeps calling him Karate Pete. Was he here for a competition? Was he... I forgot what the reasoning...
He said he was getting old and that his bones couldn't take it anymore. So I'm guessing maybe he was... some kind of karate performer, karate teacher.
I didn't question it the first time I watched this film. This time I'm like, wait a minute, why does it say Karate Pete on the side of his motorhome?
Karate Pete, to get away from getting run over, runs through the car wash, and he acts as though he's trapped inside the car wash, but it's not terribly convincing. It's just a ridiculous sequence.
Well, if his bones were truly hurting and his joints, and I know why he didn't go over to the gantry, to the side where the technicians would walk on the walkway.
Yeah, of course not.
Well, I know why.
Why?
The camera equipment was there.
You can't be here. Get out! You're in the scene. So he runs him over, kills him dead, throws the body in the trunk. Leaves blood all over the ground, even though there's hoses and stuff to clean up this crime.
Car wash.
They did find karate DNA at the scene.
And a giant motorhome that says Karate Pete on the side.
Just parked over somewhere.
Which was a nice Winnebago or Southwind or one of those. Pacero.
It was a massive one.
I believe it looked like a Pacero.
So Tina very slyly sneaks out of the car right in front of William Shatner. He gives chase. They're running through the dark, and he's trying to get her back, threatening to kill her and all this jazz.
Because that will make you run back to someone.
Exactly. So Tina tries to tell her mom. Her mom doesn't believe her. They're back at Busch Gardens again?
Yeah.
They're back at Busch Gardens again, having a fun day. Shatner is wearing maroon pants and a black and white striped wife beater that just... It was, oh man, just...
The 70s were the age of tank tops.
Oh, it was beautiful. Tucked in to the jeans. Of course, her mother doesn't believe her. She thinks she just hates Matt Stone. There's more voiceovers that are just great. I don't understand what this movie is trying to do with those voiceovers. She's just always thinking about what people have said to them. And reverby tones. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
And it wasn't just one character who had these voiceovers.
It was like 3 or 4 characters.
So you weren't getting like the thing that, oh, he's conflicted and he's hearing his voices. No, everybody's conflicted and they're hearing the voices.
Shatner, Matt Stone and Tina start having this battle of wills, and it's the most hilarious crap ever. He's trying to like psych her out, but because he's a man baby, he's trying to psych her out the way a little 12-year-old kid would try to psych out another 12-year-old kid.
Very
Yeah, I was waiting for him to do that, waiting for him to mock her or something like that. She's actually smarter than he is, so it's really, really bizarre.
Which, this is probably a good point. I just found this little bit from the Encyclopedia Shatnerica regarding his toupee.
Let's hear it.
They referred to this toupee in Impulse as one of his worst, yet there is a case to be made that the character of Matt Stone, and not just the actor Bill Shatner, was a toupee wearer. Indeed, this was a rare example of a poor toupee actually helping to enhance the representation of the on-screen character. In other words, Matt Stone, being deranged and psychotic, might himself wear a very bad toupee, and thus the bad toupee helps the audience perceive the character's charming, seductive facade as a mere dangerous illusion.
It's like, Shatner, did you go method? Did you go method for this?
Somebody thought way too much about this film as well.
Wow.
God bless
I'm
him.
glad it's not just us.
Yeah.
Matt Stone goes to Julia to try to convince Julia that Tina, the little girl, is a crazy pants. And he's so not convincing, and he's starting to make Julia a little uncomfortable. Which is hard to do because she's buried 3 husbands. We find out that she's like this Black Widow character.
Which would explain the house.
Yeah. Things start to speed up with the plot. Finally, right? Anne gives Matt $10,000 to invest in this Jamaican thing. There's some scheme that he's got going on. Buying stocks in IBM or whatever the fuck he does. Or AT&T.
He did buy AT&T, which was actually...
It was
not a bad
investment at the time. Yeah.
That's true.
So, and he's checked out of his hotel. He's going to leave town, but he plans to rob Julia before he leaves town. So that night, he's over there, and he makes her open the safe. While she's doing the safe, he starts to jump up and down like a little boy. Like it's really amazingly silly, goofy pants. Like, he's such a little child. It's not... Oh, my God. So she pulls a gun out of the safe. They wrestle over it. And, of course, he stabs the shit out of her with some dagger that's in the room.
Letter opener.
Oh, yeah. A beautiful letter opener. Tina just happens to be at the window witnessing all of this. So now she's seen him screw her mother, kill Goldfinger's freaking murderer's assistant, and now she's got this on her brain too. He chases her through, where else? The cemetery, because that's where Julia lives, right next to it, because, she has so many dead husbands. William Shatner, the actor, is sped up. Like, she's running normal speed because, kids can run fast. He's running Shatner speed, so they crank the camera to get him to move a lot faster. It is painfully obvious that they had to speed him up. I mean, he looks like he's struggling to run, too.
It's so funny to see his stride compared to hers especially, but his, little tiny Shatner strides.
The craziest scene is he chases her to a mortuary. She sees a dead body, she screams and runs out. He chases her. They're running all around this building. She falls down the stairs, and he decides, I'm out of here, because he thinks she's dead. There's some great stunt acting from this kid as she falls down the stairs. So he goes to leave.
Such a disturbing.
This is so bizarre. He goes to leave, goes through the same room where the body was, and there's mourners. Yeah, there's a whole funeral going on.
It wasn't just a room with a body set up. Maybe they were doing the work before they wheeled it off to the funeral home. It was the funeral home, because when the camera turns around to the room, it's a chapel. It wasn't just like, room A.
It's fucking crazy. It's so what? It just totally opens up the scene to, you're like, so they witness this little girl running in, screaming her head off, this guy with a torn suit, bloody from his struggle with Julia, chase her through this whole place, and there's people there?
That
They
was
didn't
just
help. They didn't.
yeah.
Oh my god, brilliant.
You just reminded me of one of the flashbacks in front of the white coffin, and I don't remember where it was. That it was the mother and young Stone
right.
Over the white coffin, or I think it was the mother.
When he looks down at Tina, who he thinks is dead, he has a little flashback to like this dreamy coffin sequence where he's perhaps burying his father or that soldier or whoever.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't consider it could be the father.
Who knows? It looks like kind of a soft focus flashback, kind of like
Black and white. And
yeah, something like you were saying out of
Halloween 2
or like Prom Night or something like that. Just real slashery. Like, this is kind of edging towards some of the imagery. It's like in a proto slasher, but trust me, this is not a proto slasher. It's a proto Shatner. He goes back to the house to rob Julia's safe, which has been left open since she's, lying dead, maybe, on the floor. He finds out that she had no money, that she just had IOUs and worthless bills in her safe because she was broke and borrowing money from Clarence, who was, I guess...
She still owed him $50.
Yeah, he's never getting that money.
We can presume that the nice, big Hyde Park house was one of her previous husbands.
Yeah, so she, who was a sugar mama, potentially had her own sugar daddy who was gay. Maybe. Anne shows up because Julia called her and did one of those, I need to talk to you about something. Call it woman's intuition. Which Lietta thought was funny because she immediately hung up on her after she said that.
It's just like... I think Lietta said something to the effect of, instead of saying what the matter was...
Who was this? So Anne is there. She sees William Shatner, Matt Stone, of course, sorry, they're synonymous now, in full murder mode. He is going to kill her, and she just knows it. He grabs her and starts trying to drown her in the fish tank. That's my way to die. So we get another underwater scene.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Lots of mirrors.
We'll get to that. While he's drowning her, all of a sudden, bam, he starts spitting up blood because
dun, dun, dun.
Tina has stabbed him from behind, and that's
not in the same way as Karate Pete.
Right. Karate Pete stabs a lot of people in the behind. So we have a scene where he's trying to grab Tina. She's got a sword, and we get the scene that's just like the scene at the beginning where he stabbed the soldier / who knows, maybe his dad. I don't know if we're going to know who it was. He gets killed, presumably, drops to the floor, curls up like a baby, as he's been wanting to do the whole movie.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
And the movie abruptly ends. Boop. What was the name of the costumes?
Moss Brothers.
Costumes by Moss Brothers of Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, there was a big Moss Brothers downtown Tampa, Florida.
And that's our movie. That's the entire frickin' impulse.
It was impulsively begun, and it was impulsively ended.
AKA, I Love to Kill. Or, my favorite alternate title, Want a Ride, Little Girl? Which, I don't know who they're promoting that part of the plot to. Yeah. Brought to you by Conqueror Films Production.
My thing about this whole film is, why didn't he just stay with the belly dancer? I think he had a good thing going there.
The first Sugar Mama was perfectly reasonable. She just wanted to say trampa.
Trampa, trampa, trampa. Moi, moi, moi.
You had a funny thought. You said, is this Tampa's Giallo?
Yeah.
And with this plot, some of the more lurid elements, and all the J&B that people are guzzling in this movie, which there was at least 3 bottles of J&B in this movie.
There were at least, 3 scenes of J&B.
Yeah.
And one scene of B&J with the Karate Pete. Wait, I'm so sorry. Oh, hello.
What they should have done was had a killer also killing people randomly in the background.
You couldn't do that. It would have made the movie interesting. I love this movie, by the way.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is my second viewing, and I love this. I will show this to people so they can see how crazy this shit is. Especially people who are into Tampa and know what a wonderful town we live in.
Look where you came from and look where you're going. This is I think this is my third viewing of this film, and because when I initially got it, you actually gave me a copy.
Yeah,
after I had watched it on Netflix, and I watched your copy, and I was like, yeah, man, this is fun.
I've since lost my copy and then bought the VHS, gave you the VHS, and kept a rip of it for myself. It's very convoluted. The director of this, like I was saying before, William Greff, he did Mako Jaws of Death, which is a terrible piece of shit. He also did Sting of Death and Death Curse of Tartu, which are two movies that are also terrible that you can buy in a double pack, probably from Something Weird Video or something like that. And he did Stanley. He did a movie called Stanley.
I would have to disagree. Nobody's ever done Stanley.
Oh, Stanley, if you're out there. But no, seriously, he did a movie called Stanley that is one of those really infamously bad drive-in flicks. It's on a bunch of collections. I think it's about a crazy kid who lives out in the jungle and can control snakes or whatever the fuck. The writer of this movie did some great shit. Tony Prichales, that's how I'm pronouncing it, thank you. He did some really tepid drama horror movies. Blood Mania, Point of Terror, which I do not recommend, but it's fun, and The Killing Kind, so... Some real talent behind this production here. Who in the cast do we want to talk about here?
Lloyd's Auto Glass.
Lloyd's Auto Glass.
For providing all the mirrors.
James Dobson, who played Clarence, he actually was in a movie we've covered on this show before, way back when it was my bright idea to do Dark Echoes, which was a 1977... bizarro horror film that Brad and I covered. Apparently he was in that, and I just thought that was funny. But William Kerwin, he's in this as the soldier. If you've seen any of Herschel Gordon Lewis's movies, he was in both Blood Feast and 2000 Maniacs. Very prolific TV actor. If you can name a TV show made between the 50s and the 80s, Duder was on it at least once. He was like well over 100 credits to his name. Marcy Lafferty is in this. She was Shatner's wife at the time. She was also in Kingdom of the Spiders, Star Trek the show, and I think she was in Star Trek the movie as well. Jennifer Bishop, who played Anne Moy. She was in Mako Jaws of Death, which I had a crush on her in that one, because she's a pretty comely lass. She's got huge perm, like huge hair in this movie. But she was also in the amazingly bad Blood of Dracula's Castle. You can track that one down, and I'll apologize for it now. But other people in Mako Jaws of Death, Karate Pete, Harold Sakata was in Mako Jaws of Death. Helen, the original Sugar Mama, she was also in Mako Jaws of Death. So it's a Mako reunion before it was filmed. And I think that's everything with the plot. I like the music. I think that's everything with the cast and crew, except for the music by Louis Perlis was fun.
It's a very great... It was I don't know what it is with these 70s soundtracks, but...
There was some flute that was funny.
When he stabs the synthesizer, too.
He murders a synthesizer. The cinematography is actually pretty good. It's someone named Edmund Gibson, and he has this thing with mirrors. There's always mirrors in all these shots, and cool little moments. So it didn't suck. This movie is actually kind of pleasing to look at if you like that 70s feel. I think, and there was some scenes that were too dark at night, but it didn't get overly bad. There was just a couple of Okay. Oh, there. Oh, I see the Shatner. I'm okay. What else to say about all of this magic?
Now that this is the multiple times I've seen this, I wonder if there is some hidden 70s film, some B movie, maybe made-for-television movie that's a sequel, since everything went into full circle to where Tina is the murderer now, out there murdering in the 80s or in the late 70s. I don't know.
Wow, that would be awesome.
It's something like that makes...
Because she was so traumatized by all this.
Yeah, it just... Wow.
What?
I didn't make the connection.
Was just...
The Ruth Roman was in Strangers on a Train.
Holy shit.
She was the one who... Not the one that he was then free to marry.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was like, she seems like she'd have been something else.
Yeah, I know she was in Day of the Animals.
Yeah.
With Christopher
She
George
played
and Leslie
Anne
Nielsen. That's funny.
Yeah. That's why I was just like, that caught me by surprise. But the sequel.
You know what's funny about her in Strangers on a Train? That probably got her roles way into the future.
Yeah. With just having her name connected with one of those things. You know?
Yep.
But there being a sequel, it just seems like a time that was rife with sequels that were unrelated, yet were totally based off a previous work, whether it was good or bad. And I've been racking my brain ever since that ending with her grabbing the sword, trying to think of something it might.
Well, you know
been.
what's funny? Think of it like if this had made any money at all, if this had been a hit, then they would have been like Impulse 2.
Yeah. The Impulsier.
Would you like another ride, little girl?
Yeah.
No thanks. I got it the first time.
I'm wondering where that sequel is. It's got to be out there.
I have to say this again. I actually recommend this movie. It's so silly and so trashy, but I love those kind of potboiler kind of like dramas that just happen to also be horror movies or happen to be thrillers that the people care so much more about the dialogue, the soap opera plot, and all this shit that's piled over a couple of murders. That's just the fun stuff. And the 70s kitsch could not be any more. I mean, I'll post a screenshot of that Shatner hat. I mean...
And being a huge Shatner-phile myself, it's always fun to watch him, especially when he's in a horrible role, where he's overacting, for sure. But it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's not like, oh, he's overacting, how boring. It's overacting, what the hell is he doing? Giggly, giggly, giggly.
It's crazy. I mean, he's some of the stuff he does is unsettling. Like, he's really going for it. I think he's like one of our best actors. He's one of America's treasures.
He's Canadian.
He's one of Canada's treasures.
It's like his music. I love his music. It's like Richard has said for years, it's morbidly sincere. And this movie is a prime example of that morbid sincerity.
Oh my God.
And it just is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun without phasers. It's fun to see the guy who was the cool guy at a whack. Totally.
I mean, it's like a metaphor for his life. He's set adrift. He's that lost puppy on the road.
Mm-hmm. And like we said earlier, this being just a contemporary guy rather than the starship captain or the police officer of the country or whatever, the Esperanto talking, demon seeing guy. It was just him in the 70s. Like that, what was that movie he did with the guy from, was it Will and Grace? But it was just Shatner, where the first time the guy sees it. Oh my God, there's William Shatner.
Doesn't he have a flashback in the movie to meeting Shatner?
Well, no, he meets Shatner in the film.
Okay.
And when he meets him, he's in a bookstore, and Shatner's looking at pornos. And he's like, oh, hey, yeah. And it's just, that was Shatner in the 90s, was just that role. It was much more fun than him saying, oh, yeah, I'm Captain Kirk again. Not to say I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but there's a difference between Captain Kirk and William Shatner. And the movie is called, it's something like, it's a generic title that I always forget. And I was like, oh, yeah, that film. And it is called Free Enterprise.
Oh, my God. You know how I know that? Because that show, We Hate Movies, did an episode on it.
Mm-hmm. It actually has
Free Enterprise.
Him,
okay.
Besides Miss Congeniality, where he sings the Miss Congeniality song.
Right.
This is the only other on-screen singing that I know of that was in a film rather than on a talk show or something. And it was genius. Eric McCormick from Will and Grace.
Okay. Well, folks, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you again, Nafa, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, this movie is an experience.
It was...
Holy shit.
Impulse.
I'm glad we impulsively decided to plan watching this and impulsify.
I'm glad our love has gone from Rob Zombie to William Shatner now.
We're going to do a photo tour of Tampa and find all these locations. And we're going to find that hotel, and we're going to recreate the scene where I'm sitting on your knees looking up at you.
I wonder... See, I don't think that hotel exists anymore, unfortunately. We'll just have to go into whatever office building it is.
Yeah, and perform. Good night.
Godspeed, Brad.
Hey, folks. Thanks for listening. If you want to contact the show, it's doomedmoviethon@gmail.com. Or if you want to hear our archived episodes, you can go to doomedmoviethon.com and click on the podcast link.
Hello, my name is Rod Barnett.
I'm Troy Gwynn.
And we are your genial co-hosts for NashyCast, the podcast about the films of Paul Naschy. If you don't know who Paul Naschy is, you need to learn.
Spanish horror icon, writer, director, actor, makeup artist.
He is all of these things and more. Paul Naschy, one of the greatest genre filmmakers of all time. Do titles like Horror Rises from the Tomb,
Vengeance of the Mummy, Werewolf Shadow,
House of Psychotic Women,
Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll,
Mark of the Werewolf make you want to see more?
Watch the film, then come hear our stunning, brilliant commentary.
Stunning and brilliant. That's us. Think that's too egotistical? Think that sounds silly? Think we come off as assholes?
Look, if nothing else, let us tell you this. Blood, nudity, beautiful women, werewolves in turtlenecks.
Nipples. Lots of nipples. Both male and female. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's going to want to listen to us after this, man. Find us at The Bloody Pit of Rod, or
you can subscribe to us on iTunes.
Give us a listen. And if we scare you too much, well, maybe Spanish horror is not your thing. I don't know. Your thing, 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 I don't know.